Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture and Justice League Monday. We're going to be looking, well, this is going to be maybe a little bit of a longer video because I'm noticing that I'm maybe a little bit off on my order here because I got Justice League number 6 from September of 1989 and I got Justice League America from October of 1989. And so I probably really want to be doing JLA 31 and JLE 7. I thought I had it right, but what can I tell you? So what I'm going to do, we're going to do a quickie on Justice League Europe number 6, because it's primarily just a comedy issue. And then we're going to jump in on these two. Now, these are part of the first JLA, JLE team up. You remember back in the olden days, maybe you don't remember, the Justice League of America and the Justice Society of America had a crossover every year. I get one from being from Earth 1, the other from Earth 2. So it's kind of in that vein. So let us move these fellas over to the side. And let's focus on this one initially, and then we'll be a little bit better on track, and I won't have to do one of these maybe slightly longer issues. So we have Justice League Europe number 6, story by Giffen and DeMatteis, art by Sears and Marcos, and the League are going back to school. So if you remember, this does follow up from previous issues where the League has, well, slightly lousy PR. And one of the reasons is only a couple different members speak French. So they decide it's a good idea for the others to go take some French lessons so they can communicate with the locals a little bit better, maybe improve their image. Ralph Dibny, the elongated man, who is one of the people who speaks French, thinks this is actually pretty hilarious. And he wants to go and spy on them and be a problem. Well, at the same time, the JLE is going to school. The Injustice League is going to do the same. Why are they going to do the same? Well, they decided there were too many superheroes in America. So why not go over to Europe? Why not go over to France? And we can try to rob a bank here. And as Major Disaster says to, Multi-Man, all you had to do was memorize 4 words in French. This is a stick-up. So you go up to the teller and say, "Dance with my ostrich's uncle." What do you want from me? I don't know French. That's my point. None of us do. And of course he thinks, why didn't we just go to London? Anyways. So we're on a collision course with wackiness as basically both leagues are going to find themselves, of course, in the same class. The teacher looks a little bit on the serious side, a little prim, a little proper, but also is, pretty hot because that's, Bart Sears doing the art. And, of course, Wally notices this. And let's see if I can get that so I don't have the weird little mode of light. Well, not quite. Any rate, Wally notices this, and Power Girl is, of course, offended at his behavior. Metamorpho just sort of slinking in his overcoat and flop hat. So what we basically get here is sort of some schoolroom shenanigans. The Injustice League shows up late. Hey, they're villains, man. That's what they do. And the teacher is very strict. No talking. None of that stuff. Now, we also have a nice moment here. When I say nice, I say important, maybe is a better word. As they're reviewing some footage of the Red Fox, a local superhero. Maybe they can get her to join the League. Wouldn't that be nice? Then we'd have a local, and they might not all hate us as much. Okay. And you do notice there are other people in the class as well. So we have a lot of them being yelled at, goofing around, chewing gum. At a certain point, Major Disaster realizes that they're in the class with the Justice League or Justice League Europe. So he tries to pass a note. He gets in trouble for that, and it gets taken away. Now, at this point here, the French police report to Inspector Camus that, it turns out the Justice League Europe is taking French, and the Injustice League is in the same class. And he's like, oh, God. So off they go to prepare for the worst, of course. And, of course, it does sort of end up, this is where they're trying to pass the note. It does, of course, descend into somewhat mindless violence. Well, not so much a giant slugfest, but the Injustice League is basically, I'll tell you what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on here. Major Disaster and the Injustice League are making their getaway. He does not want to fight with these guys. So they start a running. At this point, these two are being chased down by Power Girl, who is ordered to stop. Of course, she's in mid-flight. Not that easy to stop. All right. And finally, the teacher brings things to order, screaming, class! And everybody sort of snaps to. You will stop this immediately. Do you understand me, class? Yes, Ms. Kessler. Okay. So she's a little bit angry also at Camus from getting in on this. Of course, they get word. The JLA and the I keep saying that, JLE and the Injustice League end up in jail. And Catherine comes to get them out. And she goes, well, you actually could have left any time you wanted. What are you talking about? All you had to do was use your diplomatic immunity, and the rest of them yelling at Captain Atom. Diplomatic immunity? Oh, I forgot. Okay, so primarily this one is for the laughs. The Injustice League, by the way, getting deported. And then we get this bit at the end where the other members of the class were spies. So we have them reporting back to Moscow. These people are kind of like, buffoons. That's more or less what gets reported. I think in England it was. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. In Israel, the Israeli spy, they are buffoons. The Indian spy says, well, they're actually really nice people. And the American spy, these guys pose a real possibility of embarrassing the United States of America. Okay, up next, the first JLA, JLE crossover. So let's go check that out. So this crossover starts in Justice League America, number 31. Story by Giffen and DeMatteis, art by Hughes and Rubenstein. Yes, Adam Hughes, if you couldn't tell by the cover, Adam Hughes is now on the book. And this one's bringing back Doctor Fate. Well, Doctor Fate, but a different Doctor Fate than they met with earlier in the run when they had to deal with the Gray Man. So this issue, we begin in Eastern Europe with the Spectre surveying these ruins, not a single soul, dead or living. What could that mean? Well, he's kind of worried about it, and who shows up? But in fact, the new Gray Man, because if you'll remember, the last Gray Man more or less quit. He was allowed to quit by the Lords of Order. So they got a new guy who collects dream essence from the dead to feed the Lords of Order. Back in the United States, in the old Justice League cave, we have Mr. Miracle and Blue Beetle souping up their shuttle, making it a little better than it was. Booster is there along with them. They do mention at this point that the Doom Patrol is renting part of the space. That will come up in a later issue, maybe an annual. I can't recall. We also have Green Flame and Ice Maiden, who have new costumes. Green Flame designed them. She's pretty happy with it. They keep on mentioning that basically she's just wearing normal clothing, but 2 sizes too small. Ice Maiden is not real thrilled with what she has on. But so Fire and Ice are now taking shape. There will be a much later issue where Fire realizes that, or she gets named one of the worst dressed superheroes. And not happy about that. Well, here comes Dr. Fate. Now this, Dr. Fate at this point was a merger between a man and a woman. But at this point, the man cannot make it. He's sick. So it's just the woman. So this Dr. Fate at this moment, besides looking like a woman, has half the power, half the abilities of the normal Dr. Fate. So she comes down through the roof, and well, it turns out she goes into Fire and Ice's room, and it startles Fire, who starts a small fire. This is Oberon explaining to the New York Fire Department what happened. They can't really believe it. You know, we have him here on days like today. I don't particularly want to believe in him talking about superheroes either. Oh, great. Who shows up, but everybody's favorite comedian, the Batman. I'm Batman. So Bats is like, what is going on here? Where's the security? And he starts explaining exactly what happened, which sends Batman away. Oberon's like, well, I'll have to remember that. Here we have Dr. Fate meeting with Maxwell Lord, saying basically, I'm going to be a reserve member again. I can't always promise to be there when you need me. And this is partly because this is an inexperienced superhero. And Kent Nelson, i.e. Naboo, is telling her, you know, you need more experience. You need to get out there. And joining the League is a good way to do it. Boy, did she pick the right time to join. Here we see Fire and Ice's sort of demolished room. Ice is horrified. All of her clothes were burned. I'm going to have to wear this all the time. She's not real thrilled with that. We also have, so we have Dr. Fate getting sort of a tour, and who shows up? Well, you remember from the last episode, the Huntress was sort of manipulated into joining the League by Maxwell Lord. So that's kind of cool. A cool character. If memory serves, she's not with them for real long. Batman finds Guy Gardner playing video games. He says some things here that could make gamers angry. I knew you were an infant, Gardner, but playing video games when you're supposed to be on monitor duty, you've reached a new low. I know gamers don't like to be told that it's childish. I don't think it's childish. Just for the record, I got no problem with video games whatsoever. Please don't unsubscribe from my channel. No. So at any rate, but it is childish to be doing that when you're supposed to be on monitor duty. When he finally clicks over, desperate calls from Justice League Europe, from Sue Dibney. They got a real situation over there. We get to see John as in his Martian form appearing in the boom tube, just as they're kind of, Huntress is going, you know, I'm kind of a street level hero. This stuff is, you know, looks like Star Trek. No, don't worry about it. This is just simple technology. You're not going to see any Vulcans or Klingons walking out of there. And, you know, that's when John Jones emerges. Makes him look a little bit foolish. So they have something they need to go run and do. And this is kind of funny. Guy is complaining about him walking around in that form. It's disgusting. That should prevent you from seeing it anymore. Har, har, har. Now who's acting like a kid? And there we have, of course, his turtleneck pulled up over his face. Batman probably enjoyed that a little bit back there. So the word goes out to the mighty heroes. No, I'm sorry. The word goes out to Booster, Blue Beetle, and Mr. Miracle. Get the shuttle ready. We're moving. And off they go to Europe to see what they could see. We see Catherine and Sue here. She is very worried about Ralph because the European League went to investigate a while ago, and they have received no communications from them. A little bit scary. And it's kind of the same over there with Oberon and Max. So at this point, they're still flying over. And at one point, you know, doing the normal comedy bits. We have the news here talking about, there's fighting going on. It looks like Central Eastern Europe, basically. There's fighting going on. UN troops are in there, etc. But we do see, as they're talking, we see these figures in silhouette. So the mystery deepens and the death toll mounts. While, click, they'll all find out soon enough. And then, I wish I knew. Who are those figures? Well, I mean, if you really know your DC lore, you could maybe figure it out. I actually didn't, even though I've read these before a long time ago. I probably should have. Okay, so the league, the American League is flying in, not as opposed to the National League. At one point, Beetle is telling John, I think you need to see this, and that's what he sees. Nice splash page. Here we go. We got a town, a village with explosions, with all sorts of things going on, them heading into it. Does not look like a particularly good situation. Does look like a situation you would find the Justice League in. John says, get down there now. Okay, yes, sir. Even though nobody's that excited about it. And we end, as we began, with the Spectre. It seems you were right, Gray Man. You will feast today. I take no joy in what I do, Spectre. I'm simply fulfilling a function, as are you. And what is my function here, I wonder? To fight on the side of order, asks the Gray Man. There is already an agent of order involved. Then you will not help them, not yet. For now, I stand away from the battlefield, a witness, an observer, pondering the unponderable and trying to understand why it is I feel so compelled to be here. And when I have come to a full understanding of this drama and my role in it, I will act. And God have mercy on anyone who stands in my way. Love the Spectre, and that's a pretty good piece of work on the Spectre. Well, this story is, of course, followed up in Justice League Europe number 7. Let's roll into this one. Not doing too bad on time at this point. We joined the Justice League Europe in the middle of a fight. Metamorpho has become a wall. He's holding back all of these crazed villagers, but it's not going to stand forever. We have Power Girl above everybody there, flying. So the situation essentially is that these people are sort of acting like vampires. Well, there's no such thing as vampires. Well, I mean, it's a DC universe, so there probably is something like vampires anyways. You see the one guy's teeth there, a little jagged, a little sharp, and they are trying to bite people. So the League is doing their best to hold them off, but they are surrounded. And apparently this started in another village, and this horde keeps growing as it goes from village to village. And you notice some of the members of the team are in these containment suits because they're not exactly sure whatever this thing is, how it is spread. Maybe it is through bites. Well, here comes the cavalry, the JLA. They need to be warned. So Power Girl finds a volunteer, and she grabs Wally West and throws him at the Justice League. And as we have from John Jones there, don't worry, Flash, I've got you. John Jones, correct. Now, would you mind explaining why Power Girl threw you at me? And he says, well, I think actually she kind of secretly likes me. But so they give them sort of the inside dope on what's going on. Bats, Booster, Mr. Miracle, I think maybe some others, they head off to go check in with the UN troops and get some containment suits of their own, while the others help in the fight. Of course, Guy Gardner's having a good time. Really right up, Doctor Fate's alley, although Guy's wondering why this new Doctor Fate isn't quite as powerful as the old one, and of course he has to be, a male chauvinist in this, I'm the new Doctor Fate. The old one retired, and they gave the job to a woman. All right, that's the character. That's how he works, folks. Don't take it too seriously and get upset with him. Well, I mean, get upset with him, but don't get too upset. Don't want to get your blood pressure up. Okay, so as day comes, as the sun rises, the horde goes into hiding. So they get a little bit of a breather to sort of regroup. Yeah, Green Flame, hey, have you noticed my new costume? She's very proud of it. And there are some really good bits of dialogue. That's a nice bit of the Spectre there. Check that out. Very nice. So the Spectre and the Gray Man are still talking about things here. There's going to obviously be death here. We hear the Gray Man say, I derive no joy from my work, Spectre. I simply fulfill a function. Okay, we already kind of heard that. Unlike my predecessor, I consider this job something of an honor. To serve the Lords of Order, what more could a man ask? What indeed? Consider yourself lucky that you understand yourself and your role in the cosmic drama so well. For most of us, such clear definition remains elusive. I, for one, feel a great compulsion to be here, a need to witness this drama, but I have no idea why. In due time, Spectre. In due time. I bet the Spectre's getting just a little bit suspicious. So we get a couple data dumps here. We get a little bit of a flashback to how Justice League Europe got involved. They got a visit from an official from this country. He needs help. All right, hey, seems like something we could do that might help us out as well. They head off into this situation, and of course, ultimately, they get involved. Now, there's a little bit of a clash. I think that might actually come a little bit later between the military and John Jones, who, of course, doesn't want to hurt any of these people that are affected this way because it's not really their fault. It's like they have a disease or something else like that. And we get from this general, with all due respect, Jones, I think you're dead wrong. If we have to wipe out every one of those monsters to stop this thing from spreading, then by God, we're going to do it. And you get a little kind of a little snarky move there from Jones, who doesn't understand why he's invoking God. He's making an oath to God. He's not invoking God because he wants to slaughter people. And obviously the general doesn't want to, but he does understand, look, we can't let this get further because it could get to a point where it completely overwhelms us. Well, Batman and Elongated Man are going through the village, and they're looking for one of these vampires, if that's what they really are, that Batman can observe in the sunlight. So he elects Elongated Man to actually drag the guy out into the sun, and when they do, he starts burning. Okay, interesting. And so, I mean, from the point of view of Elongated Man, they really are vampires. And Batman's not so sure, but he has some ideas of what might be going on. Let's move over actually to the man who's responsible for all of this, a man by the name of Teasdale. And I have to say, there's a few images of him in here where the first thing I thought was, kind of looks like Dr. Sivana from old Captain Marvel. Or maybe Captain, or maybe Sivana Jr., was that his name? I think he had hair where Sivana did not. Well, this is the man who started all of this. He was the one who researched it. He's the one who let it get out of control. And it looks like he's working with the Gray Man. Ooh, he may not be just a passive observer after all. So this canister holds essentially the disease that they're spreading here, turning these people into beings that Teasdale can control. He's got a master plan. Well, it's getting dark. It's time to get ready to fight. We have a little bit between Animal Man and Rocket Red, who both miss their kids. And just Animal Man feels like he's completely out of his depth here. Animal Man's not going to be in Justice League Europe for a whole lot longer. And then we get this meeting between the new Doctor Fate and Spectre. She felt compelled to seek him out. And she's kind of talking about just like it's amazing how crazy all this stuff is and how I'm getting used to it so quickly. And Spectre says, Nabu chose well. But this would sure be easier if Eric was here. Eric being the other person who forms Dr. Fate. Usually, by the way, you see the reflection of the Spectre in her helmet. There was another one in that last issue where you see Max's reflection in the helmet. Very nicely done. Well, those two leave the scene as the Gray Man shows up, and now we get a little bit of the sort of supervillain speech from the Gray Man. So, the scales have fallen from the Spectre's eyes. Soon his vision will be clear. He will know of my ambition. Good. It will make my triumph all the more interesting. I will destroy the Spectre and Dr. Fate and the Justice League, and then take the ultimate power in my gray hands, and a gray king will sit upon a gray throne and rule his great gray earth. So, Fate and Spectre are going off to meet with the Lords of Order to find out what's going on. What's going on is they got another rogue gray man on their hands. All right, so there we go. This is the first big crossover event between Justice League America and Justice League Europe. Good stuff. Vampires, Eastern Europe. We get the new Doctor Fate. We get a little peek at the Huntress, maybe joining the Justice League America. We get some hints that Animal Man is not going to be with Justice League Europe for a whole lot longer. Some good stuff with some good surprises coming up in the next issues. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments about these issues. I'd love to hear from you if you enjoyed this little flip through review of Justice League America. And at the moment, Justice League Europe. Maybe give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. We do this every Monday in DadsDen of Pop Culture. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. And I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye-bye.